You are listening to a Blaze Bible Reflection. Today's passage is Mark 15, verses 1 to 20, read by Ivan. Conspiracy and compromise. In Mark 15, verses 1 to 20, we behold a dark union of conspiracy and compromise. A group of religious leaders resolved to bring Jesus down and secure his death. To accomplish their aim, they manipulated the system and stirred the people so that events would bend to their will. Different groups, driven by jealousy, fear, insecurity, and political calculation, formed unlikely alliances to eliminate him. The passage shows how envy can disguise itself as righteousness, and how wicked compromise can masquerade as conflict resolution. First, the conspiracy. The chief priests, the elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin gathered in solemn assembly. These were custodians of the law, men entrusted with guiding the conscience of the people. Still, Mark tells us that Pilate perceived that it was out of envy that the chief priests had delivered him up. His growing authority unsettled them. His teaching drew the crowds. His light exposed their darkness. They feared losing influence. They felt diminished by his popularity. Instead of reforming themselves, they resolved to remove him. It is possible to defend the law and wound justice. It is possible to speak of truth while being ruled by ego and jealousy. Second, political self-interest. Pontius Pilate knew that Jesus was innocent. He saw what was happening. He understood the motives. Still, Mark tells us that he wished to satisfy the crowd. That desire guided his choice. He placed before them Jesus and Barabbas, who had committed murder in the insurrection. It was a tragic exchange. When the crowd cried again, "Crucify him!" Pilate gave way. He released Barabbas and handed Jesus over to be crucified. Here we see how the search for approval can suffocate conscience. Leadership without courage sacrifices the innocent to preserve stability. Self-interest defeated justice. How many times do we also wash our hands in subtle ways, telling ourselves that we had no choice? In the broader account of the Passion, Pilate and Herod Antipas, who had been at enmity, were reconciled that day. A common enemy united former rivals, effectively creating an unexpected friendship. The enemy of my enemy becomes my ally. It is a fragile unity, born not from conviction, but from convenience. We see it in public life, and even within our own circles. Envy and fear can bind people together more quickly than conviction. We make peace with one another when it serves our interests. Third, the manipulated voice of the crowd. The cry rises, "Crucify him!" These were many who once shouted, "Hosanna!" The chief priests stirred them up. Public opinion was manufactured. Emotion replaced moral judgment. The same people who shouted, "Hosanna!" now shout, "Crucify him!" The crowd is fickle. Today it praises, tomorrow it condemns. Barabbas, a man involved in insurrection and violence, is released. The Prince of Peace is condemned. The guilty walks free. The innocent is crucified. When perception is shaped by those with power, truth struggles to be heard. Fourth, the soldiers and the culture of mockery. They clothe him in purple, press a crown of thorns upon his head, strike him and mock him. Power without accountability becomes cruelty. Mockery is the last step before destruction. Before society kills truth, it ridicules it. Many have known this pain. Many endure it even now. Finally, the silence of Jesus. He does not argue. He does not trade accusations. He does not bargain for release. Even Pilate himself was amazed at the level of his composure. His silence is not weakness, but strength. It was surrender to the will of the Father. While others conspired, negotiated, and manipulated, he remained anchored in truth. He did not bend. He did not trade his mission for safety. He stood firm, trusting that obedience would lead beyond the cross. This passage speaks to daily life. Conspiracies form in workplaces, parishes, communities, and families. People feel threatened and gather allies. Stories are shaped, opinions are stirred, compromises are made to protect status. If you have been the target of such schemes, remember that the path of Christ included false accusation and public rejection. The disciple is not above his master, Jesus says. So stand firm. Guard your integrity. There is strength in measured silence. There is dignity in faithful endurance and resilient perseverance. The cross is not the final word. God sees beyond every conspiracy and every compromise, and He brings vindication in His time. God wins in the end. God bless you. Stay close to the Word. The Oblast.